Keyframe animations in Maglr allow you to create a path for your elements to follow and, along the way, perform some effects. Like here, where you can see a small yellow square that grows, moves, and rotates when I scroll down. We can use this animation type as a start animation to make our elements come into view, or as an end animation to make the elements leave my view. Or we can also go with the most popular option, which is a keyframe animation that follows along as I scroll through a page. And this is known in Maglr as the Scrollpath animation. In this course, we'll cover keyframe animations and how you can use them to create completely custom animations in Maglr Pro. We'll explore the start and end keyframe animations, as well as the scrollpath animations that makes your elements follow a predefined path while scrolling down. And lastly, we'll also look at the different effects we can apply to each frame to make the element change appearance while the animation's running. Let's begin with the starting keyframe animation, for which we're going to scroll down all the way to the charging plug on the bottom right. It's part of a group which already has a fade viewport animation applied to it. I'll select the plug and enable the start animation for it. We'll select the keyframe animation and hit the edit animation button to configure the keyframe animation. We're now in keyframe animation mode, where we can completely draw out the path my element should follow. There's a keyframe called C and a frame 1 already in view. And the C is the frame that corresponds with the element's position on my canvas. And because of this, I can't change the X, Y, width, or height values within keyframe animation mode. Be advised that the C marks, in my case, the end position of the animation, or the position where the elements will eventually be on the canvas. So for start animations, the animation plays from frame 1 up to frame C. And for end animations, it plays the other way around. So from frame C, or its position on the canvas, all the way up to the last frame you add to the animation. I can, however, drag around keyframe 1 to whatever position I want. I want the plug to move up a little, so I'll rotate it 34 degrees and change the position just a little bit. I can hit the play button at the bottom of my screen to see what the animation looks like, and hit the save button whenever I'm done with animating my elements. Scrollpath animations work a bit differently. They play one way while you're scrolling down and another way while scrolling back up. So while the start and end animations are used to bring elements in or out of view, these animations are perfect for elements that follow you along the page. But in our case, we're getting a bit more creative and we'll turn the small yellow square into a larger background shape for our text. Let's get started. First, we'll duplicate the small yellow square because I want it to move down, but I also want its current position on the map to stay marked when I scroll down the page. Select the new square and in the animation tab, I'll enable the scroll path animation. I'll make it start at 40% of the viewport and click Edit Animation to open keyframe animation mode. I'll make frame 1 a lot bigger and move it down towards the bit of text to cover it. Let's also rotate the frame 90 degrees so it rotates a little on its way down. Now, there's one more setting which easily gets overlooked: the behavior of the C frame. Because we can determine whether the position on the canvas marks the end of my animation or the start. I'll set it to start because I want my animation to start with the small yellow square and end as a large shape that functions as a background for my text. Okay, that's one more thing to touch on, because we can apply frame effects to our keyframe animations. And these are effects we can apply to specific frames, for example, changing colors that only happen during the animation. So, for example, even though my frame starts off as a small yellow square, I can make it finish in an entirely different color. Or if you're moving text across different backgrounds, you can make it change color every time it does so. Opens up some really cool new options to play around with. So in keyframe animation mode, notice how for each frame we can see different effects we can apply. Every frame has its own settings, so if you want an element to change color and keep this color across the remainder of the animation, don't forget to apply this effect to every frame. Right, so we learned all about keyframe and scrollpath animations in this course. We explored them using the start and end animations, which allowed us to draw a path for the elements to follow when it comes into view or when it should leave our view. And we also noticed the C frames while in keyframe animation mode, or the element's position on the canvas. Then we explored Scrollpath animations, with which we can draw out a path for the element to follow when scrolling. Lastly, we covered frame effects, which allow us to change our element's appearance at certain points during the animation. Congratulations! Now you know how to create your very own unique animations in Maglr.